Women are not reproductive vessels for the rich. Women should not be called so-called incubators for rich people. So surrogacy really steps on human dignity in general, because anyone can buy themselves a baby. Anyone, literally anyone, heterosexual, homosexual, single parent, single mom, single dad, anyone with money can buy themselves a child. So we are circumventing adoption.
Olivia Maurel, you are here in the Austrian Parliament with me tonight. We had an event in the Parliament with many people discussing your story and what you can deduce from it. Mm-hmm. And your story is quite remarkable because you were born through surrogacy. And now you go around the world to tell everybody why you are opposed to surrogacy. Mm-hmm. But here you are.
Yes.
And you are also the spokeswoman of the Casablanca Declaration, which seeks to have an international ban on surrogacy. Mm-hmm. I support that and I signed it formally also today.
Thank you.
And you wrote a book which is going to be presented to the German-speaking market mid-March, but I have already a copy. And you tell your story in this book, but you also tell the world what's the problem with surrogacy.
Exactly.
So my question to you is, what is the problem with surrogacy and what did you experience?
The problem with surrogacy, wow, that's a very broad question, but I can splice it into two. There's a problem with the children, because we are literally stepping on children's rights with surrogacy. Mm-hmm. We are stepping on their right to know their identity, the right to know their origins. We are creating false birth certificates. We are separating them from their mothers at birth. We are not acting like we like to say it in the Convention of the Rights of the Child, in the best interest of the child. Mm-hmm. We are creating babies that are going to be traumatized by being separated from their mothers at birth. So that's on, I guess, the children's rights issue. On the other hand, we have women's. And the problem with surrogacy is that we are also stepping on women's rights. Women are not reproductive vessels for the rich. Women should not be called so-called incubators for rich people. They have the right to not be treated as a commodity, and in surrogacy we treat these women as commodities. So surrogacy really steps on human dignity in general. Mm-hmm. We are treating humans as objects, women and children, and this is just not acceptable.
Women and children as objects, meaning we can order them, we can sell
Yes.
them, we can reject them.
Of course.
We buy them, and
Well,
I mean...
There's so much to say on the subject. With women, once again, I'm going to splice this into two, the women and the children. With women, we can select eggs, the perfect egg that's going to be used for surrogacy. We can select a woman on her height, on her body weight, on her eye color, on her hair color. We can select on her intellectual capacity. So if she went to Harvard, we're going to pay the egg a lot more than if she didn't go to Harvard. So there's a lot of eugenics with this. Mm-hmm. We also can choose the surrogate. Well, how is she? Is she in... does she have a family? Once again, did she go to school? So this is just, it's terrifying. And for the children, it's the same thing. We can decide whether we are going to have a baby that has blue eyes, blonde hair, brown hair. You know, we can select if we want a boy, a girl. It's terrifying how this is turning. For women and children.
It seems like eugenics is coming back into society,
Yes.
mainstream, through the back door.
Of course.
Right? It looks very nice and altruistic, but in truth it is a form of eugenics.
Of course it's eugenics.
But let's speak about the dimension of the child. You told your story today here in Parliament, and you mentioned that as you were growing up, you felt that there was something odd, there was something wrong. And in a way you questioned yourself, who am I? Where do I belong? And maybe we are organizing situations in which we put people that then have to go through this, of years of finding their identity and maybe never fully arriving. Mm-hmm. Would you mind to share a little bit from your
my story? I would love to. So before 6 years old, I have no recollection of my memories. I completely blacked out. And from 6 years old on, I started to question my mother. social mother, my adoptive mother, or commissioning mother, however you want to call her. She didn't look like me. She, like I said in the parliament earlier on, she still has brown skin, brown eyes. She's very short. She looks very much like a Southern Mediterranean person. And I'm very, very tall. I have blue eyes. I used to have blonde hair. Now it's different color. But we look really, really different. And so I started to look at myself in the mirror, and I started looking at my mother, and I saw that something just did not match. And we also didn't have that emotional connection between she and I. There was, even if she tried to love me, and even if I tried to love her, we tried, really, we did. But there wasn't this emotional connection like there is between a mother and a daughter. Just like I feel today with my children. There wasn't that bond. And so I started to look more into it. And then I saw that she was a lot older than the other mothers that I saw around me. So all my friends had their mothers at the end of school, that you can pick up your child. And I used to look at these mothers and I was like, wow, they look young. And mine looks old, even though my mother, she's a beautiful woman, but she was a lot older. She had wrinkles, she looked older. And so one day I asked her and I said, well, how old are you? And she said, in French, we say, j'ai 8 ans, which means I don't have an age, which meant don't ask me again. And so I never asked.
Wow.
I just went on, and I did, however, I have to admit, one day go through her bag, and because I needed her birthday. So I knew she was born on a certain day, but I didn't have the year.
Wow.
And so when I was old enough, this is a little later on, I think between 10 and 12 years old, I got her identity card, and I just got her birth year, so I could at least calculate how old she was at that moment.
And then you were looking for your surrogate mom or your biological mom, and you found her very late.
Yes, I found her very late, but I wasn't looking for her. I was looking for, because I was struggling. You have to understand that I was struggling really, really bad, and I was unhappy. I was going through depression. At one point, doctors were saying, well, you're bipolar. They thought I was bipolar because I was going crazy. You have to understand that inside me, I felt that something was wrong. I knew something was wrong, but then my parents would say something different, and so I would question myself. So I would actually splice into two, the Olivia that knew and the Olivia that had to pretend not to know, It was very, very difficult for me. And my husband's mother, Pascal, who I love, she's my angel, she saw me struggle. She saw me go through depressions. She saw me go crazy. She saw me I had a hard time with life. And I had my kids, they were very, very young, because I had my first child at 26, my second at 27, and my third at 29.
Wow.
And at 30 years old, she was just like, okay, this has to stop, because she's not feeling well. She saw that I was suffering so much. And she saw that, unfortunately, my kids were also suffering. For example, my daughter has the trauma of abandonment that I have, and we couldn't explain it. So she decided to give me a DNA test. And she gave me this DNA test, and I took it, and it matched with my cousin that I have in the United States. And then my cousin gave me the email of my brother, my half-brother, and then my half-brother led me to my half-sisters. And then one of my half-sisters said, well, do you want to talk to her? And I said, well, I don't want to bother her. And actually I got a message on Facebook Messenger one day from my biological mother. And
Wow.
She contacted me, and she just said everything I needed to know. Who I was, like where I came from. So who were my grandparents? What are my genetics? What's my family tree? She sent me pictures of her. She sent me pictures also of my grandfather. I looked just like my grandfather, like
Wow.
exactly the same, which was, I cried that day, because just seeing someone who has the same just facial structure as you and looks like you, it's mind-blowing. And she talked about, how I was born, how we were first separated, and why she did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So healing starts with knowing, in a way.
Exactly. That's the only way I could heal. And that's how I actually started to heal, and it took me 30 years.
Wow. And there's something we call transgenerational trauma.
Yes.
And so it's like this is done to you
Yep.
by, in a way, well-intended people, but
Of
they
course.
had other motives, they had their own wishes. Maybe they put their wishes before the child.
They did. It wasn't vicious, you know. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
of course.
They
It's
didn't,
well-intended.
It's well-intended, but
But it's somehow
did
old.
do it.
It's thinking more about your own goals rather than what it could mean for the surrounding and the child.
You're thinking about your own. I put it this way all the time: your own selfish desires before the rights of the child, and the well-being of the child, and the best interest of the child. And of course, my parents were absolutely well-intended. They didn't think that it was going to cause me harm, but it did.
For me as a legislator, you know, we know that there's trauma out in the world and there are terrible things.
Yes.
But my role as a legislator is not to organize, in a way, state-organized trauma.
Exactly,
Right?
and that's exactly what we ask the legislator. That's exactly precisely what we do at the Casablanca Declaration. That's what we ask, is that it's not state-organized. It's that the planned separation of a mother and its child is not planned by a nation. It's really important.
There's also a bonding between a pregnant mother and the child. Right?
Yes.
It's the heartbeat, it's the voices that the child
It's
hears.
epigenetics
It's
and
kind of-
microchimerism.
And feeling safe with what it has heard and learned as it was developing in the womb. And then there's a separation. It causes a trauma.
It causes what we call the primal wound in adoptees, but it translates into surrogate-born children as well. It's this separation at birth. We don't do it, I always compare it, we don't do it to puppies and kittens.
All right.
You know, we don't do this. It doesn't happen. We say that it is contrary to law to separate a puppy from its mother for the first 3 months of its life. And if you do so, you can go to court.
Yes,
you know, like,
yes,
because
yes.
we know that it causes psychological damages on these puppies, on these kittens.
Right.
So why wouldn't you do it to children?
Yes, that's right.
So why are we imposing this to children?
And then there is a whole red tail of other issues. I mean, we have caught people on Crete that were holding women captive as surrogates. 30 women in apartments, being paid very little, being held like slaves, totally exploited. And they were all from poor countries.
Of course.
But this is happening within the European Union. And there are other issues. I was told that Interpol is looking for a single man who bought a baby in the Czech Republic but never registered it anywhere.
Yeah.
And what we know about child trafficking and things that are happening in child trafficking, I mean, that's just the most terrible thing to think about. But we are making it possible
Of course.
by the single man being able to put down, I think it was 60,000 euro, and he takes the baby.
But because anyone can buy themselves a baby. Anyone, literally anyone, heterosexual, homosexual, single parent, single mom, single dad, anyone with money can buy themselves a child. So we are circumventing adoption. So we're not going through the process of adoption with
Which
screening
has all kind of
parents.
standards.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And here we forego it.
Exactly. That's surrogacy. Literally circumvents adoption. With a check, you put it on the table, you buy yourself a child, and you leave. And no one asks you questions. There are horrible stories that are out there of pedophiles buying children. Epstein was in surrogacy. We saw in the files that he actually had children through surrogacy. So we don't know where these children are. And he was planning to make other children through surrogacy. So this man was vicious, and he had access to surrogacy because he had money. So this is a huge problem, because we do not safeguard children against the problems surrounding surrogacy.
In Austria, surrogacy is illegal, but that doesn't really help us, because people just cross the border to other countries and they do it there. So what we do need is an international ban. Otherwise, you know, it's just a train ticket or a short plane ticket to a place where you can do it.
So there are two things that we need. We need a national ban. So we need a national ban, of course, inside the country, but we need, like Italy, we need nations to ban their citizens from going abroad and coming back with a child. So that's the first thing that we need. I think the Italian law is perfect. Because if you go abroad and you come back with a child, you can go, I think it's up to 2 years in prison and €1 million in fines. So before going through surrogacy, you're going to say, well, do I really want to go to prison? Do I really want to pay €1 million? Maybe not. So it's, people don't do surrogacy because of that. And the second thing is, yes, we do need an international ban, because if one country permits it, then citizens are just going to go abroad to that country and buy themselves a baby. I give the example of India. When India shut down its borders to surrogacy for people from abroad, the surrogacy market, all the clinics, they just moved to Kenya. And so they opened up in Kenya. So now in Kenya, you can have a surrogate born child from a surrogate that is black. So black women are producing white babies for rich people. This is horrible. It's totally racist. And on top of that, in some packages, you can book yourself. You can even have a safari included into the package to accompany the procedure, because it's so stressful. So you can go on a safari and you can have a nice safari. So
it's a huge market.
It's a huge market, and it's
growing fast.
It's growing very fast. We're expected it to be in 2032 to reach $200 billion. But it's not just surrogacy agencies. It's hotels, it's travel agencies, it's lawyers, it's doctors, it's fertility clinics. It's a whole package.
And the least money goes actually to the surrogates.
Yes.
Who are poor people who don't do this because they think it's fun, but they do it because they need the money or because they have to pay back debts.
Of course.
So this is a form of modern exploitation.
It's a form of modern slavery, I would even put
And
it.
We always speak about women's rights, and we are against exploitation, and everybody pats everybody's shoulder.
Yeah.
But then we start these things, and we clothe it in such a nice altruistic form.
Well, we clothe it with my body, my choice as well.
That too.
That's the big slogan that we love to say and that we love to put on me. We're like, oh, well, it's my body, my choice. It's her reproductive right to be able to become a surrogate. I'm like, no, it's not a reproductive right when you read a contract. It's not a reproductive right when you know that in a contract she can't eat what she wants to eat, she can't drink what she wants to drink, she can't have a herbal tea, she can't travel, she can't talk about her surrogacy. So she's binded by this instrument that literally enslaves her for 9 months. And that's in the best case scenario, because in some scenarios, for example in Mexico, we have very, very, very poor women, and I mean poor women off the streets that can't even read, that are signing surrogacy contracts and that are agreeing to this. And how in the world can we call this reproductive rights?
And in Crete, we know that the women earned about 200 to 600 euros a month.
Yes.
In total, at the most 9,000, but the people who bought the children paid 120,000.
Yes.
So you can see somebody is making a lot of money.
Oh, yes. All the intermediaries are making a lot of money. Yes. Well, that's the whole point of the market.
And if those who bought the child don't want it because it's not perfect, maybe it has a little handicapped, then they often don't take it. And then there's these kids out there. And I recently read about Georgia, that there was a doctor who said, I'm caring for these babies that were left behind. And these babies are really sweet, and I feel for them, but I don't know what to do with them. Now they're in a hospital, and maybe then they go to an orphanage. And this is the cause of our, in a way, egoistic thinking. I want that, and it's not perfect, so I don't want it.
Oh, of course. I mean, you can either, a lot of parents didn't go get their children from Ukraine, so we have orphanages full of children in Ukraine because of COVID and because of the war, because, well, they made a baby and they don't want to risk, traveling between bombs to go get it. Well, if you love that child, if you're really a parent, you will go through bombs. And I will tell you as a mother, I will go through bombs, and I will do anything for my children. So if you're really a parent, you would go through those bombs. But there are orphanages full of children in Ukraine waiting for their parents. And that is terrifying. And there are also a lot of children that are born with defects, missing a finger that haven't been picked up, or just because they're preterm, like this Argentinian case of this French woman that went to Argentina. She ordered herself a child in Argentina, and the child was born preterm. So there are some issues with children that are born preterm. We know this. They go into intensive care unit, but she didn't want it. She didn't feel like she wanted it, so she just left it. And so for a few months, that baby was left with no parents, and the state couldn't really take care of it because they had to wait for the ruling of the court that said that the state could take care of the baby. And the judge in that ruling said that the baby in this whole case was treated as a product. And I found that ruling extremely powerful, extremely powerful. So yeah. Children are left behind.
A total violation of human dignity of the babies, of the
women.
surrogates. And in a way, it ignites a misconception of who the human person is. And that has many other problems that come along. There was a Chinese billionaire who had 100 children through surrogates raised by nannies just because he's so rich and can afford it.
Yes.
And so he does this not because he loves children, but because he wants to raise a dynasty.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's absolutely madness.
And there's even worse. There's this family in, I think it's in California, the mansion. I don't know if you've heard the story of the 20 children that were born through surrogacy, and this vicious couple. What they did with these children is that they tortured them for years and years and years on end. 20 children, and they dismantled this this house not too long ago.
Wow.
It's a horrible story. Like it's terrifying. So once again, there's no limit. Just like Ana Obregón, this famous Spanish actress who went to Florida, 68 years old. Her son died of cancer. Before he died of cancer, they collected his sperm.
Wow.
So she used his sperm.
Recreated him.
And went to Florida, got an egg donor, created a baby, and now this little girl who is born, she has a grandmother who on her birth certificate is her mother, and she is raised without a mother and without a father. And we're creating horrible stories. This is just like opening up a box of Pandora.
Pandora's box.
Yeah, Pandora's
so we
box.
talked a lot about all the things in Pandora's box, what it means for the child, what it means for the surrogate, exploitation, what it means to the image of how we see people. But then there's still a difficult question left, and I want to end on this question. Maybe it would mean, if we have no surrogacy, that some people who want a child cannot have a child. What do you tell them?
Oh, well, actually, I can tell them that I feel for them, and I know what it is to not be able to have children. I have 3 children today, but back in the day, I wasn't supposed to have children. I have severe endometriosis, so it's all over like my body, and like it took over, and the doctors told my husband and I that I would not be able to conceive. So surrogacy never crossed my mind, ever. However, I did think about adoption for a moment, but then I was like, I don't want to go through the whole process because it's very difficult to go through the process. So I feel for these parents. I really do. And it's painful, and it's normal to want a child, and it's normal to want to reproduce, and it's normal. It's normal. It's a human thing. But you can be the parent of millions, I always say. You can go to associations, you can give your time, you can go to orphanages, you can be the mother or the father of 100 children. And these children that are longing for a parent, they will give it to you times 100. So I think before thinking about your desires, and unfortunately it is somewhat selfish, you know, even though it's normal, it's a little selfish to want, you know, absolutely a child from your own genes.
Think about expense of what it means for so many.
Exactly. Think about the rights of the children. Think about what that children will feel later on in life, the questions he or she will ask. Think about the best interest of the child. If you really love children, you won't do this. And if you really love women, you will never put a woman at risk just to bring a baby in the world for you.
Wow. So your book tells your story, and many of the things we've been discussing and a lot more, and it's available on Amazon.
Yes, available on Amazon.
And it is, now I have the German copy in my hand. I think it's out in French and English.
It's in French, English, Spanish, Dutch, and soon English, yes.
Okay, great. And Olivia, it's not easy to travel the world and talk about these things.
No, it's not.
And
but
here you are in Austria in order to further that cause and help us Austrians understand about it.
Yes.
So I'm very grateful.
But I'm grateful for you and for making this cause important to you. And honestly, it's very rare in politics. So thank you for who you are.
Thank you, Olivia Maurel.
Thank you, Gudrun.